Greetings and aloha, what's going on? It's Mike's from LiveMyAssOff.com. I am on the island of Koh Sichang. Koh meaning island, so I'm on Sichang. And I'm here in this beach that exists when there is low tide, as you can see. And I've got easily a meter of water increase before I get kicked out of here by nature, before I'm naughty by nature. I've got the tripod set up here on some rocks, and so far it's pretty good and there's not a whole lot of wind. I did a speed test and it told me I basically had pretty much 8 megabits up and down. So with any luck, I will be able to have a live stream of some degree of success here. I've been going for a minute. I see 3 of you there. Thank you guys for coming by. I anticipate it will be my Aussie buddies that will swing by due to, because of time zone. Oh my God, and I already got a thumbs up. Hey, isn't this amazing in the background? I wanted to get, Mariano, good to see you. Good to see you from Germany, man. That's awesome. Hey, Caesar, what's up, buddy? So I love these clouds over here. Hey, Richard, what's up, man? I apologize if you have a new video out that I haven't seen, because 2 reasons. One, my notifications are completely horribly unreliable. But secondly, I've been traveling a whole lot just in the last couple of days. So anyway, thank you for coming by. Thank all you guys for coming by. So Koh Sichang Island is, well, the way you get here, hey Justin, good to see you, man, is you basically go southeast of Bangkok and you end up in an area called Sriracha. And if you, if you're from the US, there's a high likelihood that you've been to a restaurant somewhere and you've seen the red bottle with the green top of Sriracha sauce. But I'm very confident that you had no idea that that originated in Sriracha, Thailand. But to be fair, there's also a ton of people that probably don't know that so did Red Bull. Not from Sriracha, but from Thailand. So anyway, little useless trivia from Mike. Shocker, right? And I'm going to rely on you guys to basically just tell me, hey, Mike, this is absolutely horrible. You're all over the place. Well, not not emotionally, but as far as the technology goes, I'm simply outdoors on my phone. And I'll just basically do this until the battery dies. So you go southeast of Bangkok about 2.5 hours. Obviously, that depends on traffic. I mean, when I took the bus down to Rayong, a few days ago, it took us an hour just to get out of, just to get past like Lower Sukhumvit. So, aloha, hey, ERMD, good to see you, man. So anyway, so what happened was I said, okay, I'm gonna go to Koh Sichang. And so I went to the bus stop and I said, hey, I want to go to Koh Sichang, can go, have bus, have ferry. And of course she said yes. And I thought, okay. Now at most bus stations in Thailand, I'm familiar with the process of having no expectation that they will speak any English. But, you know, there are words that, you know, pretty much everyone seems to know here, which is boat, bus, farang. But anyway, so, and of course they know the names of these places, right? So they have, at the Bangkok Ekamai bus station, they have, you know, each like sort of stall and it's labeled with big letters. And of course, all of the letters are in English, as well as Thai. The characters, rather. Aloha, Daniel, good to see you, man. And so I went to the one that said Bampay, which is basically the name of the pier, effectively. It's also an area, really. But there's the Bampay Pier. B-A-N-P-H-E is the phonetical of the Thai squiggles. Damo, it is an awesome view, isn't it? Like, I mean, dude, those clouds are epic. I wish I could, I don't know if I can, oh, I can, look at that. So, oh, wow. Gee, Mike, that looks mildly better than your bald head. That's really awesome. So anyway, I'll put that in the background and do more of that maybe and less of me. But anyway, Now, right above me, there's also white clouds, but they're alto, and so they're not the cumulonimbus puffy one deals over there. But that's just basically overlooking on the coast. What was that? Is it just... Let me make sure I can see that. Oh, there we go. Live chat. Is it just me, or do you look optimistic? I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm usually focused on the negative, Daniel. And, you know, so I'm really trying to pull it out here. But, you know, with your help, hey, with your help, gorgeous landscape. Thank you. You're welcome, Caesar. With your help, Daniel, and... Are you ready for this? I have a Pierre Cardin mask. It wasn't intentional, trust me. I went to a store and bought some garments made by that manufacturer. And the woman said, oh. And so she gave me one of these for every garment that I bought. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll wear these. And, you know, Thailand's all about status. So basically, I'm a pretty big deal. It was either this or the BMW. 6 of 1, really. So I go down to Bampe, which is in Rayong. So there's Rayong, and it's in the province of Rayong, okay? Much like before when I was down in Prachuap Khiri Khan, which is Prachuap Khiri Khan in the province of Prachuap Khiri Khan. Now, this is something to keep in mind, especially for those that are here or from a country that will have the ability to get here sooner than the others, let's just say. We come to see you, Mike. The view is just a bonus. OMG. Dude, can I have your PayPal? Oh, hey, if Chris is watching, thank you for the PayPal, by the way, buddy. That was just a real honor. He gave me $5, and I think he did the recurring $5, which you can easily find on my website, but that's no big deal. But the point is that I was on the phone with a buddy of mine this morning, a really good buddy, and not necessarily because of COVID, but COVID is not helping his job prospects. And so I don't know about you guys, but when I need a job, or I certainly want a job, and I can't find a job, then I do not feel 100%. I mean, you know, you can say whatever you will about that, like, oh yeah, if you're not comfortable in your own skin or whatever, but I can tell you right now, I'm pretty goddamn comfortable in my own skin. But if I don't necessarily like my job, or I don't have the job that I want, or I cannot get a job as much as I try, like resume application, then, you know, I don't feel 100%. And so he's there. And so we were talking about money and the cost of living over here and that sort of thing, of course, because that's what you didn't get notified. You did get notified. I don't know why. It's so reliable, isn't it? We also come for the positive vibes of the world, so full of negativity. Live the dream. I hope you're living the dream, Damo, because I got to tell you, dude, I don't know if this has happened to you guys on Facebook. So for me, my label on Facebook is simply my name. So it's first name, last name. And like a couple of years ago, there was this company who did a really smart thing, which is they said, okay, we're going to make custom t-shirts. And what we'll do is we'll scrape the last name from everybody's Facebook, and then we'll pay to advertise on their Facebook with a t-shirt that says, hi, I'm amazing because my last name is Smith, Jones, but whatever they would do, they would rip it from Facebook and put it in there. And so what happened is that everyone else with the same last name saw that. And so enough people would like it or comment on it or whatever. So all of a sudden, guys like me, you know, like I all of a sudden find all of these other people that have my same last name on Facebook, right? And I'm not really related to any of them, or maybe I am if you go back, you know, 7 or 8 generations of Somervilles back in Scotland, who knows? But the point is that I get a lot of requests from those people, and you know, we all refer to each other as cuz, and we're not necessarily cousins, but it's kind of cute, right? It's kind of neat. But to your point about negativity, so I've been accepting a lot of friend requests from these people because I'm like, well, this is neat, and they're Somervilles, and so like, why not? If I'm a Smith, then I want to know more Smiths, right? So I do that, and then I'll look at because really until you friend somebody, you can't really sort of look at all of their posts. And unfortunately, the deciding factor after, when I look at the posts, is how many posts of negativity they have. Because, you know, if they're wanting to friend me just because they have the same last name, that's academically interesting. But as far as like adding value to my life, like the first thing I think is, okay, am I going to be able to add value to this person's life? I mean, in other words, if they just like hate everything, are they going to end up looking at me going, he's lying, he's full of crap, if he only had hair, you know, whatever reason, you know. But if they're like, Damo, and they're like, look, dude, you look like a frog, who cares? But like, you talk about stuff that potentially has the ability to put people in a good mood, like the weather, or the outdoors, or the ability to wake up in the morning, or something like that, right? And unfortunately, to your point, I've been scrolling through, and I gotta tell you, it's like, I don't even have to go down more than a page. It's like the last 3 or 4 posts. This guy's an idiot. Why don't we do this? Human rights, Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, My Life Matters, you know, whatever. And I, well, I agree with the My Life Matters. I think everyone should adopt that hashtag. But the point is that I see them within life, and I'm like, I can't, you know, I gotta unfriend you, because, like, I mean, we wouldn't even be acquaintances. Like, if I saw you just standing in front of me in McDonald's and you were like spitting those rhymes out, I'd be like, I think I need to buy you food so you'll leave. In other words, we pay them to leave, right, guys? But I was just like, I can't be a part of it, because there's so much opportunity to just come here. I mean, okay, so to be fair, I went down to Koh Sichang. Koh Sichang is closed, and every time I went to a pier, they would just be like, oh no, COVID, you know, like the big X. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I stayed in Rayong last night, and I posted a couple pictures on Facebook. I was like, I was literally the only guy at the beach, and I'm talking restaurant after restaurant after restaurant after restaurant. They just put their tables out there, they put umbrellas up, and then it's not just like those little carts, like or the pseudo like little stands like at restaurants in Cham or something. But I mean, these are like full wooden buildings, and there's like one after another. And for the most part, it's a place where Thais would vacation. So I stayed there, but I am the only guy at the restaurant, to the point where I opened up the menu, and the grilled squid that I wanted was 280 baht, and then the seafood tom yum was 100 baht, and then I had a water. So you can do quick math on that one. So she gave me the bill, and it was 620 baht, and I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, this person, if they made 600 baht today, and I'm the guy who, fine, I've got 600 baht. At scale, I understand how that might not potentially work, but again, at the end of the day, my dinner right on the beach, it was really fresh seafood. It was about $20, fine. And so I've been kind of adopting that sort of payment scheme around here, and I know I'm doing the right thing with this channel, and I know I've got the right cool people at the cool kids table, like Damo and the rest of you, quite frankly. Because none of you guys, I don't think, maybe you would if you were in a bad mood maybe, but I don't think any of you guys would be like, oh my God, Mike, she ripped you off, you overpaid. I'm like, who cares? Dude, I ate like a meter from the ocean on food that was effectively swimming in there like hours before. You know, and come on. I had a gratitude attack. I had to. I'm like, I'll pay you 2,000 baht for that. Are you kidding me? So anyway, plus the fact that my hotel room that was normally 7,200 baht, I got for 992 baht. So, you know, I found that when you just like kind of accept things from the universe is like, all right, well, here's one for you. As an example, to get up here in my cab, it was about 50 bucks. To get to take a 45-minute ferry ride over to this island to be able to see all of this, it was 50 baht. So I'll pay $50 for a taxi all day long that takes me to this, because I know I'm going to get on a ferry that's going to cost me $1.70. Okay, so that's another reason why I really haven't done a cost of living video. I do cost of life, and at the end of the day, my life basically cost me 2,500 bucks, and my life includes Gracie, and it includes me buying a few things every now and then, paying $20 for dinner one night, and then paying 60 cents for the dinner the next night, and it's the cost of life, and my life is, I mean, what lottery, right? Did my soul just win? Let me get to a couple of these, and I want to make sure that I'm not missing any of the stuff. ERMD says, is Koh Sichang different than Koh Chang? Yes, it is, absolutely. So Koh Sichang, you may see some people doing videos of this, and they label it closest island to Bangkok, and they will be down at Koh Sichang. That's false. This is the closest island to Bangkok. I am easily, certainly within 200 meters of where my hotel is, the only white guy here. I'm potentially the only non-Thai here. Now, there could still be some Koreans and potentially some Chinese that live here, that stay here, that have come down here, but like I'm it. And if you know anything about Thailand, you know that a lot of them have a very good memory, but they also have a good memory of like this guy who kind of looks a lot different than they do. And Gracie and I were here about 2-3 months ago. So I'm walking up the street and I look over and there's this wonderful guy, but he's this giant, I mean, he looks like a Samoan. He's like this huge guy, bald head, totally gay. But he's awesome, and he's one of the best cooks ever. Gracie and I had the best meal, shocker, it was the one we paid the least amount of money for, from this guy, and he made great food. And I'm walking down the street and I'm looking around and I'm kind of hot because I'm walking from the ferry, and I look over and he's like, you know, doing the thing, slaving over this thing, making good food. And he looks over, he's like, Sawadee krap! And I'm like, dude, you know, and again, I will overpay for that all day long because it made me smile, and then I got to share the story with you guys. And I get to the hotel and, you know, welcome back, right? And I don't know about you guys, like, okay, so when I was drinking, I fantasized that one day I would be able to walk into a bar like Cheers and people would go, Norm! And I was able to accomplish that in San Diego because of the excessive amount of drinking that I would do. My battery's gonna run out soon. Hold on, I'm gonna get a battery. You guys have a look at that view. How's that? In fact, since I'm not gonna be here for a few seconds, how about we go like that? And I'll be right back. I'm just getting my battery. I actually did bring it with me because I didn't realize that it would die that quickly. I was kind of hoping that I would be able to last a little longer. Story of my life, but bump. All right, and then I'm going to get to some of your comments. But my point is that I love being able to walk, you know, in air quotes, walk into the bar, and people are like, Norm! So, and I'll tell you what, doing it like sober and not having to be in a bar, it feels better. I didn't think it would, but it does. It feels a lot better. Okay, so. And if I get back. All right, so there we go. I'm like, why am I so? There we go. I did get notified, I don't know why. We also come positive. Thank you again so much, Demo, man. I really appreciate it. ERMD. So yeah, so Koh Sichang and Koh Chang are different. Additionally, don't forget there are 2 Koh Chang islands. One of them south and the other one's a little bit further. But the one that most people know about is the one that's south of here. South of this island is Koh Samet. North of this island is Koh Lan, if you know that from... I'm sorry. South of this island, south of Sriracha, still in the Chonburi province, is Pattaya. And then right off of Pattaya is Koh Larn, as well as 2 other islands. And I didn't really feel, I knew that the Ride for Kicks guy, I believe that there was a video he put out that one of you mentioned, potentially, I think when I was on the live stream with Rob, that he did a video about going over to Koh Larn and stayed there for one night. And so I thought, all right, well, maybe I'll go over there. But I'm like, nah, I really like it here in Koh Sichang. And it's a little bigger. I kind of know how to do it. You know, I know how to ride a motorbike and cruise around or whatever. So anyway, Damo says, are you ready for a good, slightly dirty Scottish joke? What does a Scotsman wear under his kilt on a good day? Lipstick. Ba-dum-bum. Well played, my friend. I actually have worn a kilt, and I got to tell you, it is genius. It feels fantastic. And it's so efficient, especially when you go in the restroom, bam, douche done. You're off the urinal. I mean, it's like time me, bam. And so I like that part. But also, because of my heritage, I realized we have a tartan, if you know what that means, which is basically like an emblem kind of thing of your family. And so we have one of those, so that's pretty cool. Richard says, Foreigner Joe helped me to stop being negative so often. Good! That's good. Whatever he did to do that, I think that's awesome. I'm honored that you shared that, dude. I mean, that's, you know, way to open your kimono. That's pretty cool, dude. I'm glad you're here. I hope that this adds something positive to you as well. And if any of you on this thing don't know the Richard, that guy that I'm talking about, simply copy and paste his name into the search of YouTube. Go over there, and you will likely never utter the words again, I wonder how I should invest my money in the stock market. because he's quite brilliant. I mean, I take what I want and I leave the rest for later, but a lot of the data and fact that he gives is applicable and has helped me be successful. Meaning, I've listened to him, I've followed a couple of the steps he recommended, and I'm simply wealthier, okay? So that's good ROI for me. Daniel says, I want to make a statement, and I hope it's not too controversial. Bald lives matter. I love you guys like a fat kid loves cake. Gotta love Thailand. Going to Koh Sichang on the 6th of July. Oh, good for you. That's awesome, dude. Let me know if you want any recommendations, or while I'm here, because basically right now I'm here till Friday. I may stay through Saturday, depends on the weather. The place I'm staying, it's great. It's a cottage. It's completely separate. It's, you know, it's a studio, right? But it's perfect for me. It's exactly where Gracie and I stayed last time. So I go there, I smile, I remember all the stuff I had, and it's 1,000 baht. It's 1,000 baht a night, basically. The woman's great, and the motorbike she rents me is great, and this island is great. It's mildly great here. So anyway, that's awesome, dude. Richard says, sorry, but if you didn't lose as little as possible, I would. There you go. Logan, hey, good to see you, man. Life is all give and take. It is. Caesar said, cheap food finds are fun. Street food and spatial ventures, finding them is a sport. It is, and it's actually great. Richard said, so are expensive food finds. The Mandarin Hotel by the river has one of the best French chefs in the world. Yeah, absolutely. It totally does. And you know, look, I've had great meals. And I was also at a point in my life where the amount of revenue that I was generating on a regular basis made the cost of what one would label as an expensive meal irrelevant and not distracting. But now, where I'm at, it's mildly distracting. But it depends on the experience, because I can tell you that one could argue I overpaid for my meal last night, but it wasn't distracting. Like, I totally don't care, because it was, you know, it met a lot of my needs, not the least of which was protein intake, but the other was like, you know, ambiance, and so that was cool. I would do a Norm. If you, dude, when you come over here from Germany and you see me from afar, you can be like, Norm, and I'll be like, oh, Mariano and I are hanging out. Caesar says, Argentine Steakhouse has a plate for about $150, probably a pretty nice steak, hopefully, yes. Japanese marbled steaks get that kind of money for a kilo uncooked. Yeah, and then, you know, you gotta remember too, is that one could argue that the price of going to Ruth's Chris, if that was here in Bangkok, would be more expensive here than it is in San Diego, just because of it, right? Minto says, you sing like Jimmy Somerville. Bronski beat, he's Scottish, and you resemble him. I do know Jimmy Somerville. If you guys look up Michael Somerville, he is a very, very funny comedian. And so I'm stoked to have that same last name. Mariano says, just watched the complete show Cheers last month. Way to binge, man. That's absolutely good. Thank you, Netflix, right? Mandarin sounds classic prices. Foodland ground beef is very lean, 450 baht a kilo. Typical prices for a world cost. French blade, no discount. Yo, Mike, hey, Carl, good to see you, buddy. $30 for a burger. Yeah, I mean, what did we pay? Or what did you pay? Thank you for the treat, Caesar. What did we pay for those burgers? Probably like, I don't know, they were like probably, including the fries and the drink, I think it was all in. It was like 500-600 baht, something like that. Thank you again for that, by the way. I'm psyched to catch up again, but unfortunately I'm not there and you're not here. So how about we have, yeah. So Richard, thank you very much for the Beyond Meat. Also, not just for that one specific stock, but the entire thinking process. And thank you for not labeling it the new normal in quality stocks, but you know, the focus on, you know, what the future is going to be. I mean, there's going to be people that are just going to be like, look, this beef stuff, forget it. We're going to like be doing this. This is a new thing. Or yeah, if you want to invest in a company that's like, yeah, we're going to basically increase our quality of infrastructure of coax cable TV in this neighborhood, and we're going to, I mean, forget it, dude. Install the internet. Screw the cable. That whole system needs to be detonated. I mean, I travel all over the world, and you know, I love this. You guys have probably done this. You go into Thailand, they escort you to the room. Ah, I love you too, honey. Get right on. Gracie just sent me a message. And so you go into the room, and what do? They show you where the remote is, and they turn on the air conditioner. And then they grab the other remote, and they turn on the TV. And I'm like, why would I even if this had like 300 channels and I was in Los Angeles. Like, I'm not going to watch TV. I'm going to watch my laptop. And if I want, then of course I travel with my Chromecast. So I'll plug that into the HDMI port in the back. I'm not going to use any of this infrastructure. Just give me the internet and give me incredibly reliable internet, and our relationship will go just fine. But yeah, absolutely, dude. I'm pretty stoked on that. And one of the things that I did take as far as Richard's advice was, you know, don't spend like don't spend 100% of your portfolio on what you think might be this sure thing, because then when it goes down a little bit, you freak out, you know. So like little bits of it, and I took a little bit of that advice. So for example, on Beyond Meat, I arguably invested more than Richard might have recommended. But I also have anyway, I'm fine, and I'm grateful, because while I'm not up back in value to what I was in like January or maybe early February, whenever it absolutely just soared, peaked, I definitely have as much, if not a little bit more, than I did when I made the decision to come to Thailand last fall. Which is good, because then I don't have this distraction in the back. Oh my God, like I'm not gonna have enough money to live over here. And it's just like, no, I'm good. All I gotta do is get 60-cent plates of food, which I like a lot because they're really good. Arno says it's stunning, but yeah, that was really good. Thank you. P.S. You need a dead cat for your mic. Oh yeah, so I don't have a mic right now. I have my camera. I was walking here, and I completely agree, by the way. I actually just got a webcam, and I have my little laptop, and I tested it and I tuned it so that actually I can stream using OBS on my laptop and then tether to this phone while I'm here. I'm basically carrying around in my backpack what I refer to as the mobile broadcast studio. And but yeah, I need a bigger, like more of a shotgun mic with the dead cat on it. I completely agree. And the good news is they're not that expensive, but that's probably my next purchase. I'm also waiting for attachments that go on the gimbal that allow me to have like a couple of hot shoes on the side, so I can do like mic on one side and then additional accessories on the other. Right? Okay. It didn't. All right, cool. It's still counting up. I anticipated that there will probably be some jitter and some freezing. It told me that it just reconnected, so I apologize for that, but that's probably going to happen here. I mean, I'm out in, you know, I'm out here. In some ways, Southeast Asia represents freedom despite not being able to buy. Yeah, no, that's not a requirement for me anymore. I mean, I've been through the whole trying to do that in another country thing, and I got zero interest. I am more than happy to go in and say, you know what? I'm going to sign a year lease, and if I don't like it, I'm going to walk away. I'm not going to freak out. I'm certainly not going to try and unload property. If you think selling real estate in the United States is difficult, it's a lot easier to buy than it is to sell. Lobster on the menu. You know, that's a great question, Caesar, because Richard says, if I had a burger, I suppose that is close enough. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, there probably is lobster available here, but again, this is very Thai. Now, for sure, there is like, I think 3. I'm not quite sure. Maybe you guys know, Caesar or Richard. I think there are some 4-star resorts here on this island, but there might not be. As far as the ones that we've been to that were like, you know, little places that were like Western and fairly expensive. Like one night, Gracie and I went out and we had a hamburger here. You know, it was like 300, 350, 400 baht, whatever it was. And the people that were there, I could tell, well, we were the only, well, I was the only. Gracie's obviously Filipino, so she's more Asian than I am. But the other people there seemed like fairly wealthy Japanese or Korean. I think they were Japanese family. But again, I don't know where they're, but there are definitely better places than what I'm staying at. And you know, they may have lobster there. So I'm going to seek that out. I'll do that. I'm here for like 2 or 3 days. I will do the norm for sure, coming in October or January. I hope it's October, dude. Selfishly, I hope you get over here as soon as you can. In a world-class French place, the menu changes every 6 months. MedTech says it's common to live at business in Asia. Yeah, it's a huge zoning problem in the West. Rules. Yeah, no, you know what I realized? I didn't know this. The reason they call them shop houses is because on the bottom floor there is the shop, and then above it is the house. I understand. 200 baht for the burger. Yeah, Bronski beat. You guys are funny. I meant 50%. Sorry. 100 to 162 in 3 weeks. Yeah. Okay. You know, twist my arm to get 50% ROI, dude. I'm more than happy about that, but that's fine. Carl says, geez, I remember using a beeper thinking that was technology, and I was a big shot then. I totally remember having my first beeper. Did you do this, Carl? Maybe if you had a girlfriend at the time, you guys would text each other. What was it? 143, which is I love you, the number of characters in each one. And then upside down, it was like 07734, which is hello upside down, right? I mean, did you do that goofy stuff too? I was like, not only am I a big shot, I'm able to communicate. That was long before LOL, but I think that was the tradition to LOL and LMAO. Damo says, in times like this in Thailand, don't worry about price. The Thai people need, absolutely, dude, I'm right, that's exactly my thinking. Thai people need the work, stand up and tip big. A few hurt and completely worse, but you do all day long. I was like all day long because, you know, I've got 600 baht. So yeah, and again, it's like, you know, the money that I spend there for that mom and pop across the way where they had, you know, like 150 rai of land, and to get from the lobby to my room, there were golf carts and electric golf carts, and they like drove you to your room. And I was like, well, she tells me, she goes, okay, so hold on, and she like pushes a special button, and you know, the guy in the golf cart comes to show, and she's gonna take you to your room, and I'm like, and I got there at like 2:30 in the afternoon yesterday, and it wasn't raining, and so I'm like, well, how far away is it? And of course, that didn't translate. She knew how to say, golf cart come, room 6, breakfast 2, 7 a.m., 10, you know, right? So she was able to communicate appropriately, but, you know, and then of course the golf cart shows up, and I'm like, all right, well, okay, I think I know how this works. They're going to show me the room, and I have an opportunity here. So basically the guy, you know, he was a lovely guy. He literally had like maybe one tooth in the front. He was an older guy, but he was so freaking pleasant. And he like comes in the room and he like shows me, you know, where you put the key card in and how you do the thing. And he was gonna, I'm like, oh no, not need TV. But he didn't know what that meant, and I could tell by the look of his face that he thought potentially I was saying, oh, no, just go away. And I'm like, oh yeah, TV. How do I use that? And then I gave him like 20 baht, you know, or whatever, and he seemed pleased. But that huge cloud bank that was off there in the distance, that's not there anymore. That was just a jet ski that went by. It looked mildly official. It was actually pretty nice. Well, I guess it's not a jet ski actually. It's more of a sea-doo. Jet skis, pretty much no one uses jet skis. I mean, you know, with the old version, like in the 80s, jet ski, you know, I mean, you use like the, we used to call them, I think, wet bikes, but then sea-doo, I think, is more of the generic. Sea-doo is like the Kleenex of jet skis now, right? So, but yeah, I'm right there with you, dude. Spending just to get the Thai smile, done. That's why I'm here. One of the reasons I'm here. That, and the fact that in the middle of the day in the shade, I'm sweating like a stuck pig. Richard said I used to vid cell phone at the 1968 World's Fair in Montreal. It took like, what, 30 years before it became public? Absolutely. So Richard, I went to San Diego State University for my bachelor's degree. And the fantasy of all of us when we were going there is like, oh dude, we're gonna get out and we're gonna work for this new startup company called Qualcomm. Because the guys from Linkabit, they said, you know what, we're gonna branch out and they're gonna go for Qualcomm. So we would go up there and we would go to tours at Qualcomm or whatever, and then there's this Erwin Jacobs guy, and he shows up and he's in this, you know, because he's got like, oh, he's dumped all this money into UCSD, even San Diego State University. The Jacobs family in San Diego has unloaded so much money. And so anyway, so this Erwin Jacobs guy stands up and he introduces his son, who's now like in charge of the place. But he stands up and he says, he brings out this enormous phone. In fact, it wasn't even the brick that you hear a lot of people referring to. And he said, someday every single person in the world is going to have their own cell phone. And of course, he said it that way. He didn't say mobile device. In fact, he may even said someday every single person will own a car phone. But of course, he said that, and and all of us just looked at each other like, this old guy, you know, because we're like 20, right? What is he thinking? You know, everyone in the world their own. He's insane. And yeah, so you know, again, how many X of years later, and I travel with 2 because if I drop one, of course, I need to have a backup. And not only is it a backup, but of course, you know, I could put 2 SIMs in it because, of course, if one phone number is good, right, then I could use the other provider if I get it. So I'd say, hey, Ron, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming by. Minto says, you could argue your own country needs money, so holiday at home. Oh yeah, no, absolutely, dude. And you know, I mean, I'm not saying that if I was there, I would probably do that. If I go home to the United States, I will probably live in Florida. Because as I've mentioned here on the channel several times, which you may or may not have heard, not you specifically, Mintos, but other guys, that ambient temperature and the sun have an enormous effect on my mood. And I'm a lot more willing to spend the cash and earn the money to be able to live somewhere where it's just, like most people might label, ridiculously hot and humid, because that makes me happy. I would rather do that than ingest a significant amount of medication. That's just me. Depression is a very real thing, and there are pills that are wildly successful for people, and that is a great solution for a lot of people. And so I'm not knocking that solution. I'm just saying that I prefer to fly to Thailand, or if I was in the U.S., fly to Florida and be surrounded by that. And gotta love Thailand. I had girlfriends and wives throw my paper and flush down the toilet at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was a refrigerator mechanic and air conditioning and heating. They did not like my pager. Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what, dude, HVAC, that is a great bit. Well, certainly in Southern California, that's a great business. And like come the first heat wave-ish, like the minute like June and July show up, you are absolutely getting paged all day long. I mean, you are full tilt boogie. The good news is it seems like you guys are fairly well paid. So I hope when you were doing that, you got, you know, reasonably compensated. Because again, nobody usually calls you up in an emergency saying, yeah, you know what? It's just too damn comfortable here. Can you come over and maybe get some humidification going? Because I'm drying out. My skin is lovely. My hair looks perfect. But it would be really nice if you could, like, you know, and then maybe, you know, have some R22 just flood through my house or something like that. That'd be nice. I'll wear a mask, but Garu says, well, one of our biggest accounts back then was Western Bagel. Yeah, I did the refrigeration for over 20 years, so they called at 2 in the morning. You had to go. Girlfriends didn't like that fact. Let me tell you something. So I was in radio, and I was in engineering in radio. And again, you don't go off the air. And whenever you go off the air, it's never convenient. But I used to get called so many, because we put in this new automation system and there was this one glitch in it. We were really trying to work with the manufacturer, but they just couldn't get their act together. To the point where every single morning for like days on end, sometimes one day would go by in a week and my girlfriend and I would be like just over the moon excited. But they would call every morning, and the solution that I would walk them through over the phone at like 4, 5, 6 in the morning, whatever the morning show was, to get it to basically start and play the commercials correctly, was pretty much the same thing. To the point where, so I was like on the, if your back is to the headboard, I was on the right side of the bed. Amy, at my time, the girlfriend, she was on the left, and then there was the nightstand, and on the nightstand was the phone. And they would call the phone, Amy would pick it up, and usually she would then hand it to me. Then she got to the point where she would like say, hello, Jen. She's like, Amy, I'm really sorry, is Mike there? She goes, no, hold on, I think I can walk you through it. And she would literally be like, okay, lower left-hand button, right mouse click, go up to settings, then go into administrative tools, and then, you know, I mean, not literally that, but she would like be able to walk her through like fixing it. So, however, again, I was not a doctor. I was the chief engineer for a multi-million-dollar radio property. So I wasn't saving lives, but I liken it to being a doctor on call. That said, ERMD, if you're here, I understand that when you get the call, it's a little bit more important than, Mike, we can't play My Sharona right now, so you need to drop everything and potentially lose your relationship to fix this automation system. It would be more like, hey, ERMD, how you doing? So there's a guy, GSW, blood everywhere. Can you just swing by maybe, or walk us through how to stop the bleeding here? You know, so I get it. But it was like that. I felt like a doctor. But I love Western Bagel. It's good. The King Leeway, hey, Mike, how funny. I have 2 phones, and one of them I bought at MBK Center. So I am absolutely use that one to blog for my channel. Good to see you, man. If you guys don't know the King Leeway, he's over in South Korea right now, and I believe, and you can say quarantine or type the Q word or whatever. I saw you on Jeremy's live stream the other day, and I completely respect the fact that he's got, you know, a very tighter, certainly, than me, maybe more appropriate or more mature, one could argue, boundary around the words and the discussions that he has on his channel, and I totally respect that. But you can say you're in quarantine, or you can use the Q word, or you can do whatever you want over here. I mean, as long as it's appropriate, right? Don't drop F-bombs. But I want to say you're almost done with 14 days, right? But King Leeway, he made a really cool video when he first got there about the care package that he got from the government. It was kind of neat to see that. Ron says HVAC and I&E in the petrochemical plants is write your own check. Yeah, absolutely, because they're not going to be like, nah, I tell you what, why don't we just blow this off? We'll fix the compressor next month. No, me too, dude. I used to have like 4 Liebert units in a data center. If you know anything about it, crack units, we call them CRAC, crack units, because computer room air conditioner is simply what it is. Even though you don't really call them the computer room anymore, they're data centers. But the point is that we would have these, and they are incredibly robust. So there's 2 compressors, there's 2 outdoor units, there's 2 fans, there's 2 of everything. And I had 4 of those that had 2 of everything in this one data center. And when one of those compressors would be down, I don't care what time it was, because, you know, I had like the other 7 running, but that would be down, and I would call up the guy, and I'd be like, hey, how you doing, man? It's Mike. He's, Mike, I'll be right there. Be right, because he could invoice me anything. He could come over and be like, oh yeah, Mike, we changed the filters. Here's, you know, $1,100. Fine, I don't care. Do it. Make it happen. You know, 110%, 80 miles an hour, 105% uptime, never off the air, no disappointments. You don't even know IT exists. It's so incredibly reliable, was basically my theory. I've made a lot of money in 30 years that I did that. Good for you. Gotta love Thailand. You are my hero, man. Caesar says, can the case on a 3-year-old Oppo be replaced? My friend dropped hers twice, many cracks on the screen, but works fine. Absolutely. And in fact, yeah, and ERMD says absolutely. I assume he's agreeing with my judgment of the validity of ER surgeons, but potentially could be saying, yeah, you could have your Oppo replaced. At the end of the day, if you typed in a manufacturer of phone that any of us have heard, meaning you can say it out loud in Thailand or anywhere in Southeast Asia, and people have heard of it before, then you can literally have that, like the case or the cover or the, you know, whatever the material is, Corning, you know, whatever the, you can have that replaced at a mall for a couple $100 baht. And if you think the guy that quoted you to change that is charging too much, then you simply walk 9 meters more, and the next guy, you could be like, yeah, I pay you 500 baht. And he said, no. I said, well, that one wants 600 baht. You want 550. I pay you 500. Okay, fine. You know, and then they won't necessarily. They'd be like, you come back. So you go to McDonald's and you get a 10 baht ice cream, and then you come back, and your phone that is completely destroyed is all of a sudden this brand new phone. You're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'll crack this thing all day long. But yeah, absolutely everywhere you can do it. Jay says, what's up, brother? Jay, so good to see you, my friend. Glad you swung by. Welcome to the Cool Kids Table. Gotta love Thailand. My job in HVAC is the reason I got to retire at 50 and the reason I'm living the dream in Thailand. Ladies and gentlemen, remind me, I forgot. Remind me, gotta love Thailand, where are you in Thailand? And if you say Rayong, then I'm lame. Well, I'm not potentially lame, I just have a bad memory. Because I'm down in Rayong, and I know, okay, so I know like Ross in Rayong, right? That guy that he comes on Jeremy's channel a lot on the live streams. So I know Ross is over there, and if I needed anything, I was going to meet with him, but I don't really know him, right? We're not like buddies. He's buddies with Jeremy. So I'm like, okay, I'm only going to be here one night. Well, my plan was only to be there like an hour. I was going to get up from the bus stop. I got a coffee there at the, if you guys know Rayong and you know Bampe and you've been over to Koh Sichang. Then I got off at the bus and I walked in front and there's an Amazon cafe. So I got a mocha, right? And then I'm like walking down the street and I'm like, great. 16 thumbs up and 15 people. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I got my coffee and I'm like, okay, I'm going to walk down the pier and then I'm going to take the ferry because they have since 2017 or 2018, I think. But of course, none of them are running, like not even ones that are, I mean, there's ones that, you know, slow boats and they're bringing stock over and that sort of thing. But for the most part, certainly no tourists are going there. And I'm thinking, okay, I'll catch the fast ferry and that'll get me over there for like 150 or 200 baht or whatever it is. And then no, so I only thought I was going to spend like an hour in Rayong, and then I ended up spending the night, which was fine. It was nice. And then from there, I came up here. But yeah, I'm digging it, dude, and I can completely relate. I actually probably would have been able to retire a lot earlier had I saved more. However, you could also argue that my not saving allowed me to have experiences along the way, right? I mean, if after the first day I came to Thailand, I said to myself, okay, I'm going to live on top ramen and hot dogs, and I am going to take public transportation everywhere in the United States, and I'm not going back to Thailand until I have, you know, X amount of money in the bank and I can retire at age 46, 47, 48, 50, whatever it is. Then I'll tell you, I wouldn't have met Gracie. Because if I hadn't like gone to Thailand enough times to when my buddy said to me, hey dude, you should try out the Philippines, you should come over to the Philippines, I never would have gotten to that point, because I've been like, well, I've only been to Thailand once, but I've been saving up, you know, like crazy. You know, so I wouldn't have had experiences along the way. And, you know, I mean, if I look back on some of the costs of flying myself over here for sometimes less than 10 days, you know, well, I'll tell you right now, if I didn't take that one specific flight, I would have had an additional, you know, months of living over here. So, you know, was it worth it? Was I squandering my money, or was I like paying for an experience that I'm glad I had, that I look back on and say, yeah, if I could die today, I'd be pretty darn happy, you know? Everyone in my life that I want to knows that I love them, like knows it. Like they're not like, geez, I wonder if Mike, no. It's painfully obvious that I love them. And I like to believe, because I don't really think I'm delusional on this one, that the people in my life that love me, I'm confident I know who they are, and I'm not questioning it at all. The people that I have in my sphere of influence, that I have in my circle, that I have basically on my individual Cool Kids table, because all of us has our own, right? We just come together at this one and ideally share our experience, strength, and hope, and our amazing stuff in the background when we hang out together. And because of that, we have this Cool Kids table. So let me just make sure I am doing this right. I want to make sure I get it all the way down. So there we go. Ron says, I found out too late in my career that piping systems last for 30 years and is upgraded. Yeah, you're like, I tell you what, how about I put in some lame PVC, because I'll be back. You're like, nah, I tell you what, let's put in copper. Oh no, wah, wah, wah. Yeah, I get it, dude, I get it. That's all right. You left with a lot of integrity. Oh, damn, well, thank you for always doing that. Again, I kind of forget how to do it. 17 people watching, 16 up, 0 down. That's good to hear, or good to see. And 17, how's it, Brad? Serin, okay, that's yes. I now remember, absolutely, you're up. Yes, okay, got it. Thank you for that. You know, it's just cool that I just noticed as we were cruising over there. Look at that tree up there, right? Now, I don't know what happens when you guys see stuff like that. Sometimes I'll see stuff like that and I'll be like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. It's neat. It looks decent. But then I think to myself, what in my life resembles that? Like, where is it? Like, I mean, maybe it's, you know, diamond in the rough, you could label it. Or where is it that I have been able to not just survive, but actually like really excel, you know, in my ability, sorry guys. In my ability to, you know, beat the odds kind of thing and be the only one still standing, but also, because if you look like a little bit behind that tree, there's also some other leaves, and ideally be able to say, okay, yeah. So I survived the road to Hana. No, I survived, you know, living in rocks or whatever, or being able to flourish, you know, when people are like, okay, so you got no fertilizer, you got no, you know, limited fresh water, you're over here, you're surrounded by salt water, the elements are pummeling you like crazy, and you still made it. And then look behind and it's just like, oh yeah, and I also, like, you know, gave some other people some inspiration, and look at these little leaves I have around this. I don't know if you guys do that. I do like little comparisons like that. Or I just walk by some days and I'm like, well, okay, there's no one else around, that's a great place to pee. So I mean, some days, you know, some days it's incredibly philosophical, and I'm like, God, good old Billy Shakespeare, he's got nothing on me. He and I would totally hang out and have a smoothie right now. I'm so brilliant. Other days it's like, oh yeah, I'm 6 years old, thank God I made it through nursery school. How much is lobster at the Mandarin? Good question, Caesar. If Richard's on here, he may know it. I'm trying to think who told me about the Mandarin before. It was before I was doing live streams, actually. I mean, not everyone, many people know of the Mandarin. So I've heard it before, but what's that other really famous Peninsula? Is it the Peninsula Hotel? That's fairly, I don't know, famous, if you will, in Bangkok. I can't remember whether that's the name of it, but someone that I know in the U.S. and then, you know, like many people you guys probably know, people in the U.S. don't know anything about Thailand. So they say things, you know, I mean, they'll be like, hey, did you ever go to that bar where they shot Hangover? Have you ever been down to that, you know, that alley where he met the lady boy? And I'm like, well, yes, but they say it's Soy Cowboy, but that's not exactly where they filmed that. They filmed it on this dungeon. Soy Cowboy is like arguably the Disneyland of red light streets here in Bangkok. I think it's kind of funny, but yeah, I mean, they Mike, Peninsula Hotel? I'm like, yeah, I guess. Thank God for the stock market. Absolutely, Ron, I completely agree. Damo says, how much earlier would you have retired without alcohol and coke? But on the flip side, the experience of what you learned has shaped who you are, a better person for it. Now, I like to think so, thanks. And so, yeah, I mean, I understand where you're going with that question. Specifically to that question, I would not have done anything, actually. The only thing that I potentially would have done is drank and used longer, and then I'd either be dead or I'd have none of the opportunities I have now. And I mean, I'm talking like longer being like another 6 months even, let alone another 6 years. I mean, I came into the program, I got sober, came into the program at 24, and when I came in, there were guys that were like 50 years old, and they were getting 30 days clean just like I was, along with me. I got a really good buddy. He's got 26 years on July 4th. And he came in at 50, you know, and he's sitting there looking at me going, okay, you 26-year-old, whatever. And I'm like, dude, how the hell did you make it to 50? I mean, okay, maybe you're like a crazy beer drinker. No, he was a like hope to die drug addict. And I'm like, I don't know how you made it, dude. I got cocaine psychosis in my first 6 months. I mean, I was terrified. There were people outside that were trying to attack me. I was paranoid like crazy. And so I only made it to 24. But I completely agree with that, meaning all of the bad stuff, you know, that happens to me or you guys as well. How much of that makes me like such a better person today? Like, I gotta tell you right now, the fact that I don't drink alcohol, that was a pretty happy moment for Gracie's parents. Because the chances of a Filipina meeting a Westerner that doesn't drink alcohol, especially when you meet them in a heavily dense tourist area, that is unlikely. To the point where they're like, okay, like, you mean you just don't drink like now? Like, you don't drink on Saturdays, or like you don't drink on Sundays, you mean, right? No, I don't drink at all. Okay, but like, you're not drinking now because I'm like, well, and then of course, you know, I lob over the net. No, I haven't had it. Like, I met this, okay, I'll give you a great example. So I meet this girl in my apartment complex, my condo complex. I saw her right next to the elevators. The reason I started talking to her was because, bless her heart, but for the grace of God go I, 2 days prior, she was outside, and she had these like really loose-fitting sweatpants on. I believe she had soiled herself. Her nose was bleeding like crazy, and she was carrying around what looked like basically a dead cat. But it's like, you know how like some girls have these crazy things on their keychain, and it was like some little thing that she had on her keys, and she was holding something up to her face, and her mask was like sideways, and I could see like some of the blood. I could see her face, but then her mask was like on the other side, and some of the blood was like penetrating her mask, and her nose was bleeding. And she was completely delusional, and everyone was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I'm like, look, just take her to the hospital. She's friggin' wasted. You know, and they're like, oh, no, I think something's wrong with her. I'm like, yeah, I'll tell you exactly what's wrong with her. She's gonna get asked to a meeting, because otherwise she's gonna friggin' die. Like, she's either gonna get sober or she's gonna die. Or worse, in Thailand, she's gonna end up in jail because she's gonna buy some off the wrong guy. And so then 2 days later, I see her, and she's standing there at the elevators. And so when I'm standing there at the elevator, she walks in, and she's, you know, got a mask on, but again, she's, you know, one of the two white people that live in my building. And so, you know, I just smiled and I said, hey, how's it going? And she's like, it's okay. And I'm like, well, you look a lot better than you did the other day. She goes, oh, you saw that? And I said, yeah. And I said, look, at the end of the day, you're alive right now, and that's pretty good. She just like looked down, and she was embarrassed because what she just went and bought apparently were cigarettes, right? So she's like, oh yeah. And I said, look, it could be a lot worse. I said, if all you're doing is smoking cigarettes, knowing there's no freaking way, that's the worst she's done in the last 48 hours. I said, you know, you're fine. And so this is so, because this is rarely a question you ask another foreigner in Thailand after you've talked to them for literally 25 seconds. She goes, oh, do you drink? And I said, well, no, I'm sober 28 years. And her eyes went, what? and I said, yeah, she's like, wow. I said, yeah, it's a pretty damn good life. Like, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. And so she's on floor 7 and I'm on floor 10. Ding! Floor 7 goes up and she's like standing there. And I seriously, I mean, she was like doing a double take. She's like, do I walk through the door or do I talk to this guy? Door, white guy, 28 years, and she's not 50. She's definitely 28, but she could probably only been 38, right? And so she's like trying to do the assessment, and so she walks through the door, and as she's leaving, I said, look, let me know if you ever want to go to a meeting, knowing full well that if she's like a Westerner and she's this friggin' deep into the wrapper, that there's a chance she's at least seen a movie that was produced in the United States and she's heard of this Alcoholics Anonymous cult that just might save her life. So, you know, I mean, if you say to someone, let me know if you want to go to a meeting, usually they're not like, oh, he wants to take me to an Amway meeting and you just told me he's 28 years sober. No, this jackass probably actually still goes to meetings. And so she just stood there, and so I, hit the button, and because the doors were closed, the doors opened again. I hit the button, and I'm like, look, seriously, if you want to go to a meeting, everybody knows me here, I'm Koon Mike. All you're going to do is go down to the front desk and be like, how do I, talk Koon Mike? I said, if, whatever. She's like, oh, okay, well, she looks around, she goes, I'm here. And I'm like, okay. And I said, in my mind, I'm like, look, dude, here's the deal. If I had said, oh, by the way, I have briefcases full of money that I just happen to have, and it's actually not counterfeit, briefcases full of it, and I also have free cocaine, I guarantee you, when those doors closed, the only thing she would be thinking about is how to get back in touch with me. And in my experience, that level of energetic desperation is exactly what it takes to stay 28 days sober and then lather, rinse, repeat for a little while. Bam, all of a sudden 28 years sober shows up. And I had that level of desperation. I was willing to do absolutely anything. I was absolutely willing to ask every single person I ran into for the next 3.5 years, do you know Koon Mike? How the hell do I get to a meeting and get 28 years sober? And I fear that she's probably going to have a lot more bloody noses because she was desperate, but she wasn't rendered sufficiently desperate. I just hope that the Thais around her are willing to be like, okay, so because I told them, they said, what do we do? And I just said Blumengrad. Take her to Blumengrad. And they will just fix her. And they could go to any other of the 50 outstanding hospitals here too. But I was just like, hospital, Blumengrad. And I think they were expecting me to like stand there and like save her something. I'm like, look, she's standing. She's just friggin' wasted. Really the only thing she wants right now is more drugs. She would actually probably prefer to not go to an ER, even though that's probably the best thing that she could do. And Richard says, life will give you whatever you demand from it. Coke and booze or sober, life and a wife. I completely agree. That was another one that I liked. That was a different spin on things that I've heard from other people, but I like your phrasing of it, Richard. Life will give you whatever you demand from it. And it's funny because occasionally I'll use the phrase, I've always gotten everything that I've wanted. Now, it's not like, oh, hey, it would be really nice to have a sandwich right now, and then, boom, magically it squirts out from one of these rocks. Really, it's given me everything that I've wanted because I've wanted the hell out of it. Like, I had to do some footwork, and I had to, like, actually, put energetic behavior, positive, open-minded, focus, whatever, behind it. But yeah, when I heard Richard say that, I'm like, oh, dude, absolutely, we are going to hang out. We will have a smoothie. Jay said, with the divorce I'm going through, I got to say, life is still good, and I look forward to the other side. Oh, buddy, I'm really sorry to hear that. In the sense that I'm sorry that you're having to experience the potentially lousy feelings that you're going through. However, I'm also grateful that I went through weighing 130 pounds while crawling around on the ground naked, sweating, talking to bugs. Because guess how awesome all of these lousy rocks are right now compared to that. They are amazing. And so I'm stoked to hopefully see you one day, Jay, and give you a hug and say, dude, thank God that divorce is over. And you'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's right. Oh man, I felt pretty lousy then. Hey Mike, why don't we go get a smoothie, right? I mean, in other words, one of those scenarios is going to happen in your life. So I am stoked, bro, for you that you were like focused on the mountaintop and you're like, you know what? I'm in the valley right now. I can see the mountaintop, but eventually I'm going to be on that mountaintop and it is going to be sweet. There's another phrase that I love. One of my heroes is Jack Ma. And there's a number of reasons for that, not just because of the astute business and leadership qualities that he has. He's got imperfections, as you may have been able to identify. But for me, he's a really sharp guy, and he's my hero. And one of the things that he says about the entrepreneurial journey is that yesterday was painful. Tomorrow is going to be incredibly painful. But the day after tomorrow is going to be beautiful. And again, I'm paraphrasing the superlatives that he uses, and especially in his pretty good English, but still it's broken English sometimes. But yeah, yesterday was painful. Today and tomorrow are going to be even more painful. But the day after tomorrow is going to be beautiful. And I tried to remember that to the best of my ability around the middle to end of March when everything, and sure enough, that was painful, and then it got really painful. And then last week, what is it? The Dow's is it the Dow or the NASDAQ? One of those indexes, all-time high, right? So again, there's also plenty of people that don't have a job or can't find a job, and I get it. I'm not saying like, you know, their tomorrow is already happening, but yeah, it's gonna be bad. AA meetings in Bangkok, absolutely. I'll tell you right now, Caesar. And again, I'm anonymous and I'm not a promoter of AA, and if I get drunk tomorrow, it's not AA's fault. Let's be very clear on that. It does not work for everybody. It works freaking awesome for me. But again, it might not work for you. I am not a spokesperson, and if you know anything about the 12 steps and the 12 traditions, then you know that the 11th tradition, well, many of them talk about anonymity. But one of the statements is anonymity is the spiritual foundation of our program, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. But the other one is we will always maintain anonymity at the level of press, radio, TV, and films. And the reason that is because I can stand up and say, oh my God, hey, I go to Alcoholics Anonymous, when effectively I shouldn't. And I don't do that. Originally in the 30s, they didn't do that because they're like, if I do that, dude, I'm going to lose my job. Like, it is not cool to be sober in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s and that sort of thing. You're a complete recluse. You're a total disaster. But if you live in Southern California like I did in the early 90s and you're sober, you're one of the coolest guys in the world because all the movie stars got sober, right? Anyway, there's AA meetings all over the world. AA's in 172 countries. I've been to the meetings in the middle of nowhere. And some of the best meetings I've ever been to have been me and another person just like talking about solution. And in other words, I'm stoked that there's 18 of you guys here concurrently right now, and that some people have come in and out. I'm honored that 19 of you have thumbed up. But I will also do this all day long if there's only one of you and 0 thumbs up, because it's one person talking to another. In AA, they have this phrase, which is it's one drunk talking to another. The other thing I will say about anonymity is I am obsessed with your anonymity, okay? I will never pull water, torture, treatment, laying on my back in China, pulling out my nails. I will never tell anybody else you're in AA. But I may or may not leak it that I'm in AA. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But I can tell you that it saved my life. So anyway. Meetings in Bangkok. I go to meetings in Bangkok. I go to open meetings in Bangkok. I also go to closed meetings in Bangkok, where the only way that you can attend is if you are a, self-proclaimed, basically that's all it is, recovering alcoholic. And there are others that will just let anybody in, and we will, like, I mean, we won't let the press in, and we will be like, look, it's an open meeting, but like, who you see here, what you hear here, when you leave here, let it stay here is also another phrase. Whereas, like, look, dude, anyone can show up, but when you leave, like, if you tell anyone who you saw here, then, you know, I mean, obviously there's really nothing we can do. But because of the global respect, it seems as though AA has earned, I think enough people believe that, like, when they leave, if they tell someone else about who they saw there, then I think that they have enough of a belief in their mind that there's like a voodoo doll somewhere that, like, if they tell somebody, that we're gonna go, no, don't do that, don't tell anyone. But yeah, wildly successful. So anyway, I hope anyone who, you know, and I love Clay's statement, AA, who needs it? I just had a drink of Jack Daniels and I drink every day. I did too. And if I take one sip, I cannot stop. And I will do anything for the next one. And if I were to drink now, then none of this would occur. I would have zero desire nor ability to get on a live stream and be able to speak with consciousness like you can. You're not an alcoholic like me, so you don't need AA. I desperately need it. So that's, again, it's not for everybody, and it's not the solution for everybody, and there are plenty of alcoholics out there that never went to Alcoholics Anonymous, are sober, have integrity, don't lie, don't cheat on their wife, don't steal from their company, are wonderful people, are great parents, and they've never set foot in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. So no, not everybody needs it, that's sure. Why did I walk into, says Paul. Yeah, no worries, dude. Mike, you get the smoothie and I'll get the Jack and Coke. Absolutely, dude. You see, that's what it's absolutely about. You might not like lemon meringue pie either. I friggin' adore it. And so when we hang out, you have your stuff, I have mine. The King Leeway, I quit drinking 4 years ago and ended up working to make money to travel. I like having 0.0% option beer here in Korea. Yeah, the near beer or whatever. Pretty much I do have a coffee habit like the others in our group. Yeah, absolutely too. Clay said I had quit drinking for over 20 years and went to 0 AA meetings. There you go. Whatever works for you, dude. Philippine Cowboy, good afternoon. I hope all is well. All is ridiculously outstanding right now, my friend. Thank you very much for coming by. If you're just joining, I'm on the island of Koh Sichang, which is kind of like saying I'm on the island of Koh Sichang, because Koh is island, right? I'm on Koh Sichang and Sichang Island. It is about 12 kilometers off of the coast of Sriracha, or specifically from the Koh Loi pier. Koh Loi is actually a little island, so there's a pier to the Koh Loi Island, and then at the end of Koh Loi Island, it's like a park, and there's a temple there, and I'll actually have some footage for that that I'll put up. And it's a really cool place to come to then catch the boat to come here. Anyway, so yeah, so I like it here a lot. You know what time is it, guys? Oh, okay, it's 4:20, good. And I'm sure some of you guys also know what the time 4:20 is, huh? Right. But this park closes at 6:30, and I want to make sure that now again, if it closes, I can still just walk out. I mean, there's no giant gate that goes. It's just that, you know, they want you to leave. And Clay says, I quit smoking for 3 hours short of a full week. Damn those cigarettes. I get it. I got to tell you, dude, when I was smoking regularly, quitting is easy. Every time I got frustrated and threw away my pack of cigarettes and threw away my lighter and threw away all my ashtrays and bam, I quit right then. It's starting that's hard because I didn't know when to do it again. Sometimes I started again 1 day later. Sometimes I started again 2 hours later. Sometimes I started again one girlfriend later and blamed her on my mood. So therefore I just needed a cigarette. But yeah, quitting cigarettes is difficult. I get that, dude. I absolutely get that, for sure. And Philippine Cowboy says, I'm 49. I drink beer every once in a while, but have slowed down quite a bit. Seems the older I get, the less I drink. Laugh out loud. Paul says, I respect all who attend AA. My career leaves me no options for drinking except for maybe 2 days every 2 months. Yeah, whatever it takes. I can tell you that the reason that I started doing what I do now, which is not drink or use, no matter what, is because I couldn't just be like, oh, I'll just stop this because, you know, I can only drink because of my career. No. It didn't matter. I will do absolutely anything. I will do anything to get drugs and alcohol. that I have to do. Now the good news is that I was in an environment where I didn't have to do anything, okay? So like I did a bunch of crazy stuff, but I never pulled the trigger, as they, well, quite literally. Yeah, I'm just, put it this way, I'm just grateful I'm on Koh Sichang right now, so. Dalmo says, read an awesome book you will literally enjoy, Mike, called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. Similar to what you're talking about, you're responsible for the good and bad things that happen, absolutely. Philippine Cowboy says, I've never smoked in my life, so proud of that. Absolutely, dude, I got a guy who was on my team, I hired him, his name is Malik, and he is an outstanding, exceptional human being. Never drank in his life, never had a cigarette in his life. Portions of that are because of his religious beliefs, but it's also, you know, he also got really lucky. I mean, trust me, like when I graduated from high school, I wasn't like, okay, so hey, I'm electrical engineering degree, cocaine addict. No, it wasn't one of the check boxes, dude. You just show up. I mean, you know, I'm dealt the meat suit that I got, and I work with what I got, and thank God that I'm in the situation I'm in. Thank you very much for that recommendation. If you would, because every now and then it's hard for me to go back to the comments in the thing, if you wouldn't mind, I would genuinely appreciate it if you would either put the name of that book in the comments later once this video publishes. It takes about an hour once we're done with the live stream, or that way you could share it with everybody else. That's my thinking. But secondly, if you wouldn't mind, selfishly, and then I can share it too, is you can just email right now, for example, livemyassoff@gmail.com, and let me know the name of it. That would be great. I would love to get that book. And my dad blessed me with a Kindle before I left, so I have the ability to effectively read an unlimited amount of books. And if I get an unlimited amount of monkeys and an infinite amount of typewriters, I can type all of the best books ever written. So there you go. I actually, you know, part of what I did when I got out of grad school, we wrote a book, a bunch of us, and wrote it with Jack Canfield, if you know who that guy is. He's the guy who's pretty much credited, he's 50% of it, but for the most part he's credited for the whole Chicken Soup for the Soul book, which then became, you know, Chicken Soup for the Mom, Chicken Soup for the Parent, Chicken Soup, I mean, he's got a whole entire brand. And so our book was called Defining Moments of Courage, because our idea was that we would have defining moments of courage. The next one we were going to write, to my, you know, recommendation for the team, was defining moments of self-esteem, but it never got there. I'm really the only one that sort of put a whole lot of energy into writing the book. I actually used it as a business card for a while when I was coaching, because it's like, you know, with coaching, it's not like you just sit down and, okay, sign here and I'm going to basically, you know, help you. No. You interview a coach big time. And a coach interviews the client too. It's like, are you willing to do, you know, the work that you give yourself? Because effectively the coach has very limited accountability. It's the person that's going to do the work. The coach is just there to basically facilitate, draw out, you know, the strengths of the person and ultimately have them exceed their own expectations that they were simply blind to having, you know, certain skills. And so that would be one of the ways that I would say, well, I tell you what, why don't you read this story, and if you resonate with it, or you just think, okay, Mike, this won't work, I don't do that, you know, I'm a devout whatever, insert religion here, and therefore anybody, I don't even care if they're sober now, anybody who's touched the word cocaine or even knows how to spell cocaine, I won't set foot within 10 feet of them, I have no respect for them, or men, you know, I've never gotten this personally, but I have buddies who've had this, which is, I don't care that you're sober 20, 30, 40, 50 years, I'm glad that you are, but a drunk driver killed my son, and so I will never speak to you ever again just because of that, or whatever. And that's never happened to me. However, it's absolutely a possibility, and it's happened to some of my friends. And so anyway, there's got to be that feel. So anyway, the book that we wrote was Defining Moments of Courage. And I can put a link, well, if you know what bit.ly is, you know the bit.ly link, right? bit.ly, so it's a shortener. If you just go to bit.ly/defining courage, if you have any interest in it. Many of you won't have an interest in it, which is fine. And you can buy the book on Amazon, or you can just shoot me an email, and I'll give you my story in there, which I have the rights to. Everyone else's is their own individual. But I have, you know, I'll send you a PDF of my story if you care for it. If you care to read it. I gotta tell you, man, I love being here. And here can mean any number of beaches, really. But I love the smell of the ocean. I love the sound of the waves. And that is a sound that I could listen to, well, pretty much ad nauseum. But I'm getting kind of thirsty. I do have some water with me, but I'm also going to get another drink. It's an hour and 14 minutes in now. There's 18 of you, and I got 20 thumbs up, and I want to just say, you guys, I am honored that you swung by. I'm stoked that I got to be able to do this. I hope there weren't too many technical imperfections. I completely appreciate the fact that someone mentioned that, you know, there was probably wind noise throughout this entire thing. Joseph, good to see you, buddy. Wherever you guys are, you know, watching this, I hope you're safe and happy. And if not, then let me know how I can help, or let anyone else in the chat know how they can help. Because, you know, I mean, while there's no requirement to be part of the Cool Kids table, it's a neat responsibility to voluntarily take, which is, you know, if someone reaches out, then I'll, you know, I won't give him money. I may not give him, you know, that. I won't give him my, you know, whatever. But I might say, hey, dude, I might just give him the phrase, hey, dude, don't worry about it. I've been there. It's going to be okay. And that might be enough for that guy to make it through to the next whatever. So anyway, I really hope that wherever you guys are, you know, you can at least put on, maybe not rose-colored glasses like this dude has, but you can look it out and say, man, I hope you can walk into any mirror that's in your house or anywhere nearby. You can look yourself in the eye and you can say, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I really hope you can do that, because I feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the world, and I really hope that for you too. I hope that same thing. Mighty Mike, as usual, thanks. Caesar, thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys being here. It's Mike from Koh Sichang. I got a lot more live streams coming, and I got a lot more published videos that I promise that I'll upload. Saying I hope you're living the dream, because if you're not living the dream, I gotta tell you, in my experience, you're doing it wrong. I love you guys. Ciao.